Hey y'all, happy Tuesday. Welcome to another What Else is Going On, aka We Go Podcast YouTube video. I'm your girl, your host, Taria. Thank y'all for coming back. I want to take a minute to just thank y'all. Thank y'all for the likes, the comments, subscribing, watching the video. Before that, let me apologize because, of course, they outside cutting the grass. I took a quick break to come home, use the bathroom because it was public. Whew, bathrooms as a rideshare driver can be. And I told y'all, some of the other other rideshare drivers, y'all know the companies, child, they wear diapers so they don't have to stop all day. Like to pull up, I'm not doing that. I'm going to find the bathroom every time. Since I was close to home, I said, let me just run on here and use the bathroom. And I wanted to do this video yesterday for y'all, but I made myself go to the gym after working all day and came home. I got ready and watched Love Island. Y'all, we are a proper family, my family, a proper nation, because I got me two out of my three kids and my goddaughter watching Love Island and the hubby. Y'all, that show is so good. So we watched Love Island last night. Then I went to bed. So I was like, well, let me do this video for y'all today. So I was like, let me make myself take a quick break, come do this video, and then get back on the road. All right, y'all. I still owe y'all what? Three Atlanta recaps, but by now, child, we about to be at the reunion. But let's go ahead and get into it. So first up, y'all probably have already discussed this before. If y'all are new here, I'll just say this. There's certain things that I'm gonna talk about that some of your other favorite content creators have probably already talked about, but I want to talk about it with y'all too, because we are a community and I want to hear y'all's thoughts, get y'all feedback, all that stuff. I love being in the comments, whether it's something that I posted or just content, in general. Child, I love taking a flight right into the comments. So first up, Miss Kenya Moore. Kenya is not playing, honey. Okay. She has a full production, looks good. Her set is good. Everything is good. So she came to us yesterday, um, gave us some talk show teas. I loved it. She keeps calling it a podcast, but she it's more of a talk show baby. Like I have to give it to Kenya. I have to give it to Miss Kenya Summer Moore. When it comes to this, she's doing it, and I do feel like she is a natural with it. I did wonder because of some of the things that she talked about, like she talked about Shannon Sharp. What else did she talk about, y'all? She talked about Shannon Sharp, and there was something else she talked about that had come out like weeks ago. But that, I mean, honestly, it's still going on, and it's still relevant in pop culture. But I wish that she gave us like a weekly. Then here I am, child, saying I want to see Kenya weekly. Yes, I do. Outside of the Housewives, I could see her doing this. She really is just a natural, talking the hot topics, all of that. But Kenya, you can't talk about the bloggers. I don't know a blogger if you're gonna be one. Just saying. Well, I guess you can, but in a certain way, but not in a way like I pay y'all bills, because now if you do this and you get a check from this puts money in your pocket too. It may not pay all your bills. It probably could if you keep going. But yeah, because now you one of the bloggers. But you a good one. You a good one. Again, I could see Kenya hosting a talk show or something like this, almost like a not a watch what happens live, because but something along those lines. Like it would be really, really good. All that to say, Kenya, I love this. But one of the things she talked about was the Porsha and Shamea of it all, the friendship. Again, y'all probably have heard this on other channels, but we discussing it together. So let's go. Hold on, before I do that, y'all know I need to just save it, right? The copyright disclaimer. I need to save it so that um I don't have to keep pulling it up. But YouTube acts funny sometimes. Sometimes they don't mind if you share something, and then sometimes it's a problem. So I'm like, nope, nope, nope. Let me just go ahead and put it out there. All right, now let's go ahead and share. Here they come cutting the grass again. I'm sorry, y'all. Just bear with me a little bit. Just pretend I'm in New York and you hear sirens and all that stuff going by. All right. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act, 1978, allowance is made for fair use. This is fair use for purpose such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. So, y'all, what are we doing? We are commenting, news reporting, and doing our research. All right, so let's get into what Ms. Moore had to say.
Closer look at what's happening now on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. So one of the biggest storylines right now is Porsha and Shamea. They have been friends forever. Obviously, I've known of Shamea since Shamea was first on the show. I remember kicking Shamea, off of my boat when I was, on the show because she was sticking so closely with Porsha, and Porsha and I were falling out. But Shamea and I have gone back and forth plenty of times, at least several times that I know of, because of her rocky relationship with Porsha. Now, a lot of you guys may not know, I've actually had a conversation with Shamea a long time ago. And that was when Porsha and I were not on the best terms, and we're cool now. But this was when Porsha and I were not cool. Everything that I know about their friendship, I'll just tell you. I never felt that Porsha was supportive of her being on Housewives. They had asked Shamea to be on Housewives as a housewife years ago. And Shamea refused to do it or could not do it. I'm not really clear about the details, but in any event.
So let me just pause it here because, sometimes you have to pause and have conversation. We know that they asked Shamea, but her husband didn't want to do it. He told her she could do it and the kids could do it, but he didn't want any parts of it. So Bravo wouldn't allow her. It's interesting now that her husband agreed, in quotes, to do it, but we barely see him at all. He may as well not be on the show, and Bravo let her do it this season. Let's go on.
And she couldn't do it. She didn't do it. She did not accept the offer to be a housewife or to interview to be a housewife. And I remember a specific conversation being filmed where Shamea brought up something. Maybe it was her wedding. Maybe it was Porsha not being supportive of her. But I remember...
Y'all know we're thinking about that. I believe she said it was about her wedding. I think it was about... I'm about to scream. I really hope y'all cannot hear this. But I'm thinking about... Y'all think it was when she was confronting Porsha about not coming to the wedding in Nigeria. That's what I'm thinking about. Anyway.
Porsha saying something to the effect of, why are you doing this? Why are you over here? Why are you doing this? Do you need the money that bad? And I think Shamea was like shocked, like, what, where is she going with this? And the gist of the conversation was, can't you just let me have this and you go over and do what you need to do? But this is my platform. You need to go and either be my support system or go away. That was the gist of the conversation. Now, I've been on that show, was on that show, still am, still employed, not on the show currently, but for 12 years, I've seen and heard a lot. I've never lied on anybody. Never. Y'all know that. I just remember thinking, is that a friendship or a relationship of convenience? Because a friendship, you cheer your friends on no matter what. And I just remember this saying that Oprah said before, like, if you have a friend that even shows you a hint of them not wanting you to succeed or climb the rung in a ladder, they are not your friend. I strongly believe that. If I don't have a girlfriend that's on the sidelines and me like, go girl, you better do that. What can I do for you? I'm going to call the producers. I'm going to call the network. I'm going to do everything I can. I need you by my side. I've done that before for a friend of mine, to the point where I'm putting my own job in jeopardy because I'm like, y'all should look at this girl. She is dynamic. She is beautiful. She is a housewife. She is the one you're looking for, and you're overlooking her. And going so far out of my way, people were like, what is going on? What is the situation with you and this friend? Because she was somebody I truly cared about. She's my friend. And I believe she would be good in that role.
When she said that, y'all, and I don't know her friends, of course, clearly she has a lot of friends. I don't know why I immediately thought of Ming.
However, that's not what I see with Shamea and Porsha. What I see is jealousy. What I see is somebody putting their foot on somebody's neck and saying, you stay down there. I want to be the queen of this. You go find your own thing, which is basically what she said. I mean, I think we already know what that is. It's not a friend. Anyways, no friend I would want to have. So can two besties survive the same bag, same spotlight, and the same screen time? Or is it a matter of just time for it to blow up? Y'all let me know what you think in the comments below. And remember, I am always going to tell you the true tea. I'm not going to lie on anybody. I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm just telling the honest truth. So you tell me what you think. You know what time it is.
All right. What y'all think? She has been around them and around Shamea for years. And I know at one point, Shamea and Kenya did have their own relationship. I remember, I forget when we found out, but I remember them having their own relationship. And remember when they went to go build, was it Habitat for Humanity? And I forget who hosted the trip, but Shamea ended up coming. She was a little late, and Kenya was upset like a drill sergeant, like telling her about, okay, you do this, you do that, you did that. But Shamea did, I don't know if, did Shamea and Porsha both have an event at the same time? I mean, Kenya and Porsha both have an event at the same time or something. I know y'all probably know what I'm talking about. I can't remember, but I know that Kenya had hers for Habitat for Humanity, and Shamea showed up to support her in that. And I'm trying to remember if that's when I realized that they had their own thing outside of Porsha. But as far as the housewives, we know on this season, there were talks about Porsha not really wanting Shamea to be on the show. And Porsha said, I showed her the list of housewives. And then on Porsha's YouTube channel earlier in this season, she said that she was like, I think she'd be a good, I'm paraphrasing, but basically she'd be a good housewife, or I want her to be a housewife, but her husband doesn't want her to do it, or something like that. So there was a small part of me that was like, well, maybe she put her on the list so she could show her, look, I have you on my list, but knowing in the back of my mind, in the back of her mind, or thinking she's probably never going to do it because Gerald still doesn't want to do it, and Bravo's not going to actually bring her on because they haven't in years past. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, it's easy for me to say, I keep recommending you, look, here's my list, here's the email I sent them, but you thinking she ain't gonna get on because in years past she hasn't got on because of her husband, and he's still thinking the same, you know. So there was a part of me that wondered if it was that. We know that Candy has consistently pushed for Shamea to be on, and I have said it before, and I'm gonna say it again. When we found out that Shamea was gonna be a peach holder, and when she went on Candy Speak on it to talk about it, Candy was like, "How did Portia react?" When she found out. And some people may say that Candy asked the question because she was being messy or what have you. Maybe, maybe not. But I know the way Shamea answered when she said, oh, we text about it. It was like, oh, okay. Mind you, the season had already filmed. So we know they had already had their little back and forth, their little fight, if you will, on camera or whatever. So she said they text about it. And for me, I was like, if me and my girlfriend, I'm calling her to tell her so we can scream on the phone and bust each other's eardrum on the phone, screaming in excitement. Or I may send a text and be like, girl, and then call after and get to, so that way, if I send her a text like, girl, I'm gonna be on the show with you, and then I'll call her, as soon as she pick up, she's gonna be screaming in my ear. You know what I mean? So for me, with the way she talked about how her and Portia's interaction went when she got news she was going to be on the show, I was like, maybe they're not as close as they were before. Plus, things had already been out there circulating that even before Shamea got on the show this season, not that they had fallen out, but that they just weren't as close as before. I did hear some people saying they had fell out, but then I heard other people saying, no, they just weren't as close as they were before. So I think they're in some of the same circles too. So even if they aren't as close, it's like they're still around in each, around each other, but just maybe they weren't as besties. You go through seasons in your life. Who knows? Who am I? Y'all let me know what y'all think. Do y'all believe what Kenya is saying? Do y'all think Kenya's putting 20 on 10? Y'all let me know. Next up, Miss Brit Butterball Naked Edie. So we know that Don Juan has a bit of an inside. If y'all don't hear this, y'all gonna be like, what is she talking about? But if you hear it again, I am so, y'all, I'm about to, hold on. Because every time I think they easing up, they not easing up. You know what? We hear whatever. You don't heard this much of it. Don Juan has a YouTube channel, and he has a bit of a inside, clearly some behind the scenes tea, if you will. You know, with filming in Atlanta. And initially I was like, I wonder where he heard this tea. That's I'm gonna say alleged. This tea, where did he hear it from? Who's he so friends with on the cast? But I know he did say he filmed with Kelly. They didn't show it. And also, Shamea is one of Candy's BFFs. Don Juan is, even though he works for Candy, he's one of her good friends. So he could have heard it from one or both. So let's get into what Don Juan had to say. So the scene where Kelly was showing her boobs, did they play that? They played that, right? Was that last week or whatever? Evidently, there was more to that scene. So let's get into it. All right.
In the moment that Brit Eady has that was a little explicit. Okay. So what moment am I talking about? Talk about it in the chat so that we are all on the same page. Okay. On the counter. Correct. Sources tell me that the episode that aired, it was actually edited because Brit Eady actually stripped butt naked in front of the camera crew, in front of all of the ladies. In the episode that all of the ladies saw prior to the reunion, she was butt bookie naked in front of everybody.
Not Buki. That's wild.
They even have confessionals talking about how they were not expected to see her vajayjay. They saw the breast and then all of a sudden all of the clothes come off. This is allegedly. Allegedly, she was bare. She took all her clothes off. This is the episodes that all of the ladies will get prior to coming to reunion. I think she strategically was.
Y'all. Not just showing your tits. That's what they do. They be flashing each other. Y'all remember when she got out of the van last week and they were like, "Are your titties out?" or something like that? Like she said she didn't want to mess up her outfit or something, so she just had them out. For you to get completely and utterly naked, the camera crew's still there. Okay, let's go ahead.
Gonna come to reunion, but there are things such as she makes a slight comment about Shamea's child and like, oh, she should be taking care of her child. Her and Kelly have a mishap is what I.
So you hear that? Remember when Shamea said they were done because she spoke on her child, and we were like, well, did she speak about her parenting or about her child? So I wonder if they're going to address that because we haven't seen it play out yet. So maybe it'll play out next week. And I was thinking they comforted her, Shamea, about what was going on with the baby. And I wondered if Britt was going to turn around and try to use that. Like, I'm comforting you, but now, if we beefing, now I'm going to throw out there where you should have been home taking care of your child.
I think, and she makes a comment about some allegations about Kelly. And
on her landlord? Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
In this episode that they've already shown now, but they edited, I'm assuming they may have edited last minute, Britt is naked in front of everyone. So the fallout from her, like she gets butt naked is what they say. Butt naked. Like, yeah. So you don't see it, but in the video that all of the ladies saw, they saw her they were there and they had commented on it. And so in the clip that everyone saw, they saw her get naked, right? She saw herself get naked. So at that point, I think that she was upset because they were showing this. I think she had already had in the back of her mind, I threatened to sue y'all prior, and she didn't like what was happening with her for the rest of the season. So her first result is they put me down this road of being sexually harassed and put me in this light. And she was, from what I hear, she was not intoxicated. She actually, had taken one shot, I think is what I saw on camera, but it's what I'm hearing. But literally and figuratively, she was naked. No, she
Child.
did not ask for consent before she flashed everyone, including the crew. And I can tell you by my own perspective, because I did tape a episode this season, and I've taped for 15 seasons, that most of the crew is men. So she, from what I hear, her body didn't look bad in the video. But again, nobody was given consent for you to flash your naked body in front of us at my place of business. So
Child.
when it comes to the lawsuit, she is talking about being placed in these certain predicaments. But if you even look at the other people on the crew, the other people that are on the show, I don't think any of them asked for her to show them her vagina and her.
And that's something I will say. When you talk about consent, sometimes the first thing in your mind is consent about touching, right? I didn't give you consent to touch me. That person didn't give this person consent to touch them. But it may not always be at the forefront of your mind. Something like that, because somebody could be like, what, like really offended by that. The ladies, maybe not, but there are some ladies that maybe would be like, yo, I didn't want to see, I didn't want to see your Polly Pocket smiling at me like that. And then the crew and like, I mean, so I didn't even think about that when he said, no, she did not ask the crew consent, you know, to show them.
Her breasts and all of the above while they were at work.
Because it is a job still.
I don't think any of them. So she didn't ask for their consent when she did that. That's almost like public indecency, but it was in a home,
Naked.
But I think that once she saw that, she felt like, oh God, they're going to show me being naked. I've been trying to say I'm not that girl. I don't do that, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, so I think at that point, she may have actually called them about the scene where she was naked and had them do an edit. But I don't know if she thought they were going to take it out or if they were going to take it out. Again,
I've said this in a prior video. Bravo used to not take nothing out at all. Now it seems like quite a few housewives, from what we understand, have called them to take stuff out. So I guess what he's saying is she saw how the season was going and what people were saying online. And maybe she called them and said, can you edit that out? Child. Stop playing with me. This is annoying. I wish I could get rid of that.
and it did not air. It did not air. But you guys talk to housewives. You guys talk to people on crew. I want you to ask anybody that you guys get your piping hot tea from about this. But I am hearing from very reliable source. I am 100% confirmed that the episode that previously aired was edited down because previously Brit Eady was, she took down her undergarments, her top garments. She was almost naked. And I don't know if it like hit the floor, but she pulled them from off her legs, but they were able to see her vagina and her breasts. And so that's why she felt some kind of way.
All right. And then there was another part that I wanted to fast forward to, and I did timestamp that as well. Let's get to that. Hold on. All right. There was something else I wanted y'all to hear. Let's get to that. I didn't pull it up in a separate quick clip because I figured I would just fast on forward, y'all. All right. Here we go. Come on, Don Juan with the beard. He looked like he'd been putting on a little weight. Go ahead, Don Juan.
Gets a lot of heat on certain stuff that he didn't sign up for.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Gets a lot of heat on certain stuff that he didn't sign.
Before we get into it, he's talking about your, in quotes, villains on the show, the people that you call villains. Like he mentioned Marlo, Kenya. And he said it takes a strong person to be able to deal with that because it's not just on the show, it's the outside, the people watching, the viewers, and it can be a lot. So it takes a certain type of person to be able to deal with that heat. So that's what he was talking about right before we get into this.
You've seen on TV. But those individuals have to be very strong because everybody can't take the heat. I said this in a previous interview. Brit's husband gets a lot of heat on certain stuff that he didn't sign up for. And allegedly, I don't know that they probably want more people in their life as it relates to him, her, their business. I don't think they want that. Allegedly is what I've heard. You know, we've all seen husbands who you kind of don't know they're, yeah. Okay. I'm gonna let y'all figure out what happens. Okay. We'll figure it out there. But people like Kenya, people like Marlo are tough skinned and they take it and they go along with it and they may clap back sometimes, but they're able to do it. You can come into a reality show and think you want it until you get the smoke and you realize you start coughing. You can't handle the smoke.
Come on.
Everybody cannot handle the smoke. It's okay. They can't handle the smoke. FYI, Leo, I am not saying that about their marriage. I'm specifically stating, allegedly, when it
I think somebody in the comments was talking about it being a lavender marriage, or he wanted to clear that up. Like, I'm not saying that.
comes to their businesses, they really probably should not have gotten on TV and wanted people to dig in their businesses.
And I'm gonna pause it right there. I've been meaning to tell y'all, so I won't say her name, just just because her and I talked, and um, I don't know if we ever we clarified that I could say it, but I don't know if we said we could say the name. But shout out to one of the listeners, and she said, "Let me 1 second." Okay, because I had made the comment that I wondered if Brit's husband was from New York because I picked that up in his accent. Like he don't sound Southern to me. He's got a little bit like there's an undertone of New York. So shout out to you, boo. You know who you are if you're watching. She said you are good with your accents. Brit's husband is from New York. Mike's sister is this person that I'm talking about. Her bestie's line sister. So Mike's sister, Brit's husband's sister, is the line sister. For those of you that don't know what a line sister is, when you are pledging a sorority, and the girls that you're on the line with, it's your line sister. So Mike's sister is line sisters with the person I'm talking to's best friend. She said so Brit pops up with a new, oh, I'm sorry, the sister pops up with a new Chanel bag every other week and always says her brother buys them. The line is trying to figure out what they do for money. Her bestie, the one I'm talking to, bestie said, they're from New York, so I'm sure it's some type of scamming going on. Yeah, so Mike be buying his sister. She pops up with a new Chanel bag every other week, and they're trying to figure out now what is he doing. So I don't know, but anyway, yeah. So that's what the people are saying about their marriage, and we know. And Dalmon is saying that's not what I'm saying.
That was what I'm saying.
Their businesses. They may not want people to know what their businesses are. That's what he was saying.
I'm not saying anything to the contrary, what you guys are saying, Leo. I'm saying the exact opposite. No, I'm saying that they don't want people in their business. Because when you get people to dig in your business, you might find a few bodies. Not literally, but figuratively.
So he's talking about, again, their businesses, like getting to not their marriage business, but their actual businesses. Child. So, and then he went on to mention basically this is probably why Brit didn't come to the reunion, because she would have to answer to all this. So now you've put out there, you have talked about you filed a lawsuit. Well, you talked about being sexually harassed, filed a lawsuit, all these other things. So What do y'all think? Allegedly, Kenya finds these pictures of her, right? She posts them. People are like, oh my gosh, you know, that's foul, whatever, whatever, whatever. To post them at a public event, blah, blah, blah. That's sex. Some people have said that's sex shaming, yada, yada, yada. She's so upset about it. We hear about it for multiple episodes through the season. And then we find out we've seen her show her boobs at least a couple times. And now we find out that she was, I'm going to say alleged, but I mean, I do believe Don Juan has said that she took her clothes down to the floor and was butt booty hole naked. Does one have to do with the other? You know, some people may be like, okay, so what? In that instance, she chose to get naked. But then that goes back to what he said about consent. You chose to drop your clothes in front of not just your cast, but a whole crew whose consent you didn't get. Just like those pictures may have been out there, but Kenya didn't get your consent, even though now you're saying it's not you, but let's just say it was you, which is what we were all thinking. You said Kenya didn't get your consent to show the pictures. So is it the same thing? Kenya didn't give your consent to show pictures that were already, that people are saying were already out there. Because people saying they still can't find them, which I guess if it ain't you, that would make sense, right? Versus you choosing to show your body, not a picture, but your body to people whose consent you didn't get, whose okay you didn't get, that were okay with looking at your naked body. You know what I mean? So it's like, if that's the case and Bravo has that footage, because it was, Don Juan is saying it was edited out, will they use that footage when it comes to the lawsuit she has against them? Like, she couldn't have been too worried because she did this on camera in front of her cast and the crew. It was, again, yeah, because Don Juan said, yeah, they were in a house, but you were still at work. And it wasn't just you and the ladies in a house. And one of the cameras, like the Bolo season, caught some of it from the outside. You did it in front of a crew, allegedly. Even though I believe Don Juan, but allegedly. So what y'all think? Y'all think this could blow some holes in her lawsuit? Or do you think one has nothing to do with the other? She gave consent to people to look at her body, but she asked them, get their consent, and asked them if it was okay to look at her Polly Pocket and such. Or do you think, kind of like the same? I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Child, Brit was out there laying it low and spreading it wide. At one point in the video, he said, I guess she had turned around. He got word that she had like turned around, so like her butt was on the counter. I'd have been pissed about that. Girl, because we know Clorox wipes and all that can clean, but I visually now seen your tail on the counter that I might be leaned up on, laughing on, joking on, eating a piece of chicken or a piece of fruit on. And I got the visual in my mind of your crack across this counter. Again, we know Clorox wipes and all that stuff will clean it up, but I still got the visual. I'm a very visual person. So like, to me, like, I could never eat when I was watching old school New York Housewives because they was always pissing, doing something crazy, drooling from being drunk, spitting, whatever. So I would know, don't eat when you watch this show because that gets into my mental. So to know that her behind was sliding across that island, okay, maybe not sliding, but propped up on that island. And now you expect me to lean on it and eat from it? Like, I may not want to eat at the table. I might want to kiki and have a glass of wine, but all I see is your behind because it's in my mind. See? I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Child, this is getting messy, 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 messy boots. All right, y'all, let me get back out on this road. I love y'all. Let's talk about it in the comments. See ya. Drink some water, eat some fruit.